Hello, everybody. This is the speaking version of the newsletter post. There's so much going on here that I thought it would be best to say it out loud a bit, and that could help with the description. So I'm going to read it from the top. It says, "Greeting Learnings community, welcome December. It's good to be here. And as promised, before winter break, here is our decision on what stage 3 of your atlas will look like and the ramifications or updates for this school year. Again, thank you very much, everyone, for thinking about stage 3, for sharing your feedback. We looked at it carefully, and the principals and assistant principals met. And wow, we got a smart and caring crew here, and there were a lot of good ideas. And in the end, we came to a good consensus, and here it is. This is what stage 3 in Atlas will look like. The template for the whole school for stage 3 will change on July 1st, 2021. Everything that you have in stage 3, unless that box is being changed, will stay the same. So as I go through the notes, listen carefully, because there may be some things that you'll want to save if you don't want to lose it, such as your vocab box. Another note is in the below, when it says year 1, that means next school year. Okay, so from the beginning, stage 3 is titled Learning Plan. We've come to a consensus that the first box should be called Formative Assessments and Learning Activities. So we'd like you to upload or link, and we're going to introduce shared drives, but we'll explain that at the end, of your formative assessments. These will be done year 1. So next school year, that's going to be one of our targets. Also in this box, we're going to ask everyone to upload their major learning activities. Not every little detail of what you do, but your major projects and activities. And yes, we're going to ask that these follow your practice agreements. For example, Readers Writers Workshop for Elementary School English Education, ELA, for that subject area, for that division, that is a practice agreement. And you'll see here, it says these uploads or links or descriptions are going to be due year 3. Why year 3? Because we're going to have to spend next year, year 1, deciding what those agreements are going to be. And we're going to have to spend year 2 training for them. So a year to choose and a year to train. That's our slowest pace possible. But if people are ready sooner, of course, we can move faster. For example, for pre-AP courses, they have what they call principles. And these 4 principles are your practice agreements. So your major learning activities will be following the principles or from your pre-AP courses. For AP courses, they call them instructional strategies. So for those courses, we don't have to spend a year deciding, so you're welcome to move faster. But again, our pace is year 1, year 2, year 3. When we finish this box, we ask that everyone put their entries in chronological order. That means that when a reader looks at it, it'll be clear as far as I do this first, I do this second, I do this third. And these are big unit plans, so I usually do this first. I usually do this second. We understand that there's flexibility there. Side note, FAQ, what if I have some stuff typed in there already? Do I have to delete it? No. Just make sure our new entries go on top. Okay, the next box that we're going to use in Atlas, and this is one we have already, it's going to be our differentiation box. And understand that when we say differentiation, we're talking about for students who are pushed into your homeroom. So non-pull-out students. So these are LS, ELL, or SLP students that are in your classroom. So these are usually not any cases above moderate level, a moderate level or above, okay? So first school year, LS, ELL, and SLP will have single page PDFs that provide menus of strategies that they recommend being used. We will simply, for year one, just upload or link those. Another thing we might try and figure out how to do is have those uploaded onto Atlas, kind of like the standards, so the user can tick the box for them as well. I'll work with Atlas over the summer and the second semester leading up to over the summer and see if we can get that done. The second year for the differentiation box, a teacher would look at the LS, EL, SLP strategies menu and say, you know what, in this unit, I use this strategy, and type in an exemplary reflective note in the box. I think the key word there is it's exemplary. So no one's ever going to be asked to type in notes for every single strategy. No, rather an exemplary use. And of course, it's totally understood that students are different every school year. And what might be exemplary use of a strategy one year might not be fitting for the next student who's the LS student the next school year. We understand that, but we think it's useful to use exemplary notes as points of reference when looking at a unit plan. The next box, we're going to change the vocabulary box. So if you have any vocabulary notes, you're going to have till the end of the school year to save them if you want to save them. But over the summer, July 1st, we're going to change that box. And when we change it, it'll be wiped. It's going to be called the EdTech Integration box. And what we're going to ask you to put there is, first, we'll get trained on a SAMR model, which is a model for EdTech integration in a regular classroom, not COVID-19 pandemic online learning times, but a normal classroom time. And then we'll ask all teachers to put in a SAMR exemplar. So a homeroom teacher in elementary school, this would be one for English, you pick which unit, one for social studies, you pick which unit, one for math, one for ELA or science, one per core, you pick which unit. For middle school, high school, that would be one per class that you teach, you pick which unit. In the second year, we'll ask you to finish all your SAMR exemplars, one per unit up to 50%. So maybe every unit for every class up to the winter break on your Atlas. And then in the third year, the second half of the school year done, 100%. Also in the EdTech integration box, in that second year, we'll start looking at how the SAMR exemplars that you're using match the ISTE standards. And again, we'll get PD on this. Your EdTech integrators will help explain what they are. And similar to the standards at the top of your unit plans, we'll integrate ISTE standards. So ideally, you'll be able to tick off which ones that SAMR is covering. And then in year 3, we'll finish with the ISTE alignment. One advantage of being able to tick off your ISTE alignment from the box, kind of like your standards, is we can click analyze or report writing, and we can see which ones you're covering and which ones you're not. And so we can circle back to it and try and do even better. But that's a long-term project, and that's something we'll get started in year 3. The resources box. We're going to keep the resources box, and we're going to ask if you don't have anything there yet that we are adding to this school year's checkout list, we'd like the resources box finished too. What do you want to go into the resources box? Please just type in very simple format, your key resources. For example, you might type in Wit and Wisdom Teacher Edition. And then you put in parentheses in the library. Or you might type in student books in parentheses in the classroom. And that's all we want you to do. We don't want a very, very extremely detailed list full of links and uploads at this point in time. But we just want enough of a list of key resources so when a new teacher, for example, is looking at the unit, it's crystal clear what the books are and where they can be found. Okay? And finally, we're going to keep the reflections box. Nothing's required as far as entering something in this school year, but we're going to keep that box for future use. And so this is what our stage 3 is going to look like in the end, once we're all done. And again, anyone's welcome to get working on it now. Okay, so remember this, our action plan, our strategic plan. So I'd like to start off with school year 2021. Now, let's do this school year. Start at the top, stage 1. Label priority standards. Ever since orientation, that's still due at checkout this year. Stage 2, finish quarter 4 or term 3 summative assessment uploads. If you haven't finished those, we need to finish those this school year. This has been known since last school year. And yes, we'd like to finish this off as uploads. And then moving down here, stage 3, added, new. We would also like everyone to finish the resources box in stage 3 if you haven't yet. 2 other notes. If you have anything in the vocabulary box or the differentiation box that you want to keep, you'll want to save it for yourself on a Google Doc or however you want to save it, because we are going to move that information. We are going to change those boxes. The vocab box is going to become the EdTech box, and the differentiation box is going to be reformatted as well. So you want to save or move anything that you have in those boxes already, if you do. Some people do, some people don't. A final note here, and here it says voluntary. What we're going to do is we're going to introduce what Google used to call team drives, but now Google is calling them shared drives. And these will be owned by the school and they'll be owned by IT. And that's different than being owned by a department head or a teacher leader. It makes them permanent when they're owned by the school. And so no matter who leaves, it'll still be there. And what we'd like you to do is we're going to make them available. And let's say from this pandemic COVID-19 online learning experience, you have a lot of extra resources that you put a lot of work into and you don't want to just throw them away. We'll make the shared drives accessible for you and you could put them in there for posterity, for future use. We don't want that to happen, but just in case. It's not required, but it'll be there for you. Doing this is really useful long-term because that means in the future, for the next 3 years, you can upload or link onto Atlas. The links have to be from the official shared drives owned by IT. So that is very good news for us moving forward. It's something we always understood, but we just didn't want to mandate it or require it at the beginning of what was a very busy year already. Or last school year, we didn't think it was something that we wanted to require either. But getting the folders started in this voluntary manner, I think is a good way to approach it and sets us up well for the future. Okay, the next school year, 21-22, we're going to circle back, and this is assuming we have a normal school year. I sure hope so. We're going to circle back to our summative assessment definition that we worked on in 1920, and we're going to work on adapting our existing summative assessments. Let's say it's a multiple choice test. We're going to work on adapting all of our summative assessments school-wide to fit our school definition of good assessment. I linked in here a pre-AP example because they already talk about how a good summative assessment is going to be a performance task. So this matches super well. In 21-22, again, we're going to upload or link formative assessments. In 21-22, we're going to decide on practice agreements. In 21-22, we're going to upload or link the differentiation menu provided by the LS, ELL, and LSP teachers. And again, I will look into with Atlas, can we make this a tick box option as well? And we're going to add to Atlas a SAMR example, and your IT EdTech integrators will explain that process. And it'll be just one per class, or for elementary school homeroom teachers, one per core subject. Year 2, 22-23. Let me start down here with just basic Atlas stuff. We're going to train on the practice agreements that we've made. If they haven't been made yet, and extra training is needed. We're going to start adding differentiation exemplars per the differentiation menu. We're going to continue adding SAMR examples, at least half done. And we're going to begin our training and understanding of what the ISTE standards are for EdTech integration and begin aligning those. Again, we'll try and make it a tick box system. Now, you'll see here it says audit for vertical alignment. And this is something verbally I've mentioned before in other recordings too. We're gonna circle back to stage 1. And we're going to begin the process of auditing our standards. And this means vertically looking at all of our standards. Which ones are we covering? Which ones are we missing? And identifying those. Therefore, in the next school year, we can begin the conversations about how to address those gaps. It's something that we haven't done yet. I wasn't here in 2016-18 when you finished stage 1, and it needs to be done. So speaking of 23-24, we will address the gaps, if there are any, identified by our stage 1 standards audit. Stage 3, we will have due any practice agreements, models, or examples per subject area by division. We'll finish our SAMR exemplar uploads or ads, and we'll finish our ISTE standards work. And then we will be, in a way, done with Atlas. You know, we're not really ever done with it, but we'll keep refreshing it via the curriculum review cycle. But in a way, we will be done with it because that very basic entry of what is our curriculum, something AISJ has not ever had an atlas, that'll be done. And that'll be something to celebrate because that'll mean that we have a curriculum and it's written and it can be taught and learned. And that'll be a day to celebrate. Okay, so that's a verbal review of the same thing that you see in the newsletter. So again, to be crystal clear, please notice a note for this school year at checkout. Priority standards labeled, that's due. Remaining summative assessment uploads, not links because we don't have our shared drives officially yet, due. New, type in key resources, very brief notes, but noting their location so it's clear where they are, due at checkout. And remember, by July 1st, if you got anything in those vocab or differentiation box, you want to save them in your own drive files or move them for posterity or for future use, because we're going to reformat those boxes. Okay, if you have any questions, please email me, Zoom with me, visit, I'm here. And this is really good news in the sense that we have a plan. It's not up in the air anymore. We're not indecisive. We're not unclear. We have a plan and we're moving forward with it. And to me, that's exciting and good news. Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Bye.